Okay, I'm going to be sharing with you my exam ritual that got me all nines and which I used to date for all of my exams. A ritual is vital for an exam because it helps create a sense of structure and calmness which can significantly reduce anxiety and boost confidence. So let me walk you through the steps of my unique exam ritual that contributed to my success. So first I look at the content. I open up my textbook or my notes and I look at them, read them and fully absorb them. Then I write down what I remember on a piece of paper and I repeat this until I know around 70% of my content. It's very important to understand most, if not all of it. So 2 days before an exam is the final time to clear up any queries or questions around the subject so your understanding is completely secure. 2 days before an exam, look at what you're eating. This is going to have profound knock-on effects onto the next day and the day of the exam. So what to eat? Personally, I would minimize processed foods, avoid junk and binge eating because this will make you tired and lethargic and you won't have energy to concentrate on studying, so I would throw them away. Instead, eat healthy whole foods, and it's very important to consume fiber, protein and vitamins. As part of my exam ritual, I eat my special protein porridge, and this is just normal oats slapped with a bunch of protein powder and peanut butter along with banana and strawberries. This ensures that I have my daily fiber, protein and vitamin intake. Now, when you're learning the content and you're studying 2 days before an exam, you can get really tired and exhausted of the repeated process. So I make sure to implement a few breaks. And in these breaks I do something that I enjoy but is not very energy consuming. So instead of watching TV or Netflix, I go for a walk, go for a run, I do some stretching. And you can watch TV and Netflix if you want, but do this in moderation. You don't want to spend too much time on it because it can lead to procrastination and prevent you from actually studying effectively. Now, the most important factor that many people get wrong: sleep. I tend to sleep at around 9 PM and I wake up at around 5:30 AM. Try to get around 8 or 9 hours of sleep. Now, we all know the benefits of sleeping: focus, energy, prevent brain fog. It's too many to count. You should get used to sleeping earlier because you want to get to your exam early. This will make you confident and feel ready before an exam. Now, I've perfected my sleeping routine through Andrew Huberman. He's a professor at the University of Stanford, and you can find this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Castro, anywhere you get your podcasts. I feel he's really helpful to perfect your sleeping schedule. Now, the main points to take into account when you're developing your sleeping schedule: get sunlight exposure in order to perfect your circadian rhythm. Avoid caffeine before bedtime. Keep the bedroom dark. Keep the bedroom cold. And you should have no phones in the bed. Now, this is quite a difficult one because before an exam you want to enjoy, you want to entertain yourself, to keep your mind off the exam itself. But it's really important to not use your phone in bed because your brain tends to associate your phone with your bed the more you use it in bed. And you don't want that because phones are associated with fun and energy, but you want your bed to be associated with relaxation and sleeping. So it can confuse your brain a little bit subconsciously and prevent you from sleeping on time. Now, if you feel you can't sleep effectively, you can't sleep on time, you can try meditation before you sleep. Personally, I use an app called Medito. I feel it's really helpful. They've got a range of techniques and tips and they'll walk you through the step-by-step process on how to meditate effectively. Then it's time to wake up for the next day, 24 hours before your next exam. Personally, I get ready as soon as possible and revise the content using the same blurting method. I read my content and I write it down on a piece of paper, what I remember. This time I'd make sure that I know around 90% of the content because it's really important to get your understanding in check the day before the exam. Then it's time for past paper questions. Now, this is crucial to check for knowledge and understanding, but also application. You've learnt all that content, but can you actually reproduce it on a piece of paper, secure all of the effective marks to get those grade 9s, those A stars? This is where the skill of exam technique comes in. I'll print off a bunch of PPQs and I'll write down just the main points, the points that will secure the marks. Everything else I do not need to write in. So this could include specific phrases, key terms that I know will be on the mark scheme. For instance, let's say there was a 2-mark on biology about osmosis. I jot down on my piece of paper partially permeable membrane and concentration gradient, because I know these two key phrases will be on the mark scheme. The rest I can write down in the exam, I know that. Now let's say there was a longer question for a subject like geography. There was an essay question on how successful is regeneration. Here I draw a flowchart to effectively reproduce the ideas in my mind on a piece of paper, because this is basically what you have to do in an exam. This process will make your revision way more efficient the day before the exam and save you time. So how much should you have revised the day before? I would say maximum around 5 hours, because you don't want to suffer from burnout, especially the day before the exam. Now on the day before the exam, all the other factors are still applicable: your diet and sleep. For sleep, remember, no phones in your beds. So then you go to sleep and you wake up again. It's the day of your exam. Here, mindset is key. You want to feel relaxed, so meditate. Arrive early to chat with your friends, you'll feel more confident, and you know you're on the same boat as your friends. They're also giving the same exam as you, and they're also as stressed as you. That will make you less stressed. Speaking of stress, it's really important to acknowledge it. It's completely normal to feel stressed before an exam. It's just a biological response to the anticipation of a difficult event. Now that's an important word: anticipation. It's only before an exam you'll really feel stressed. When you're in the exam hall and you're writing for an exam, you'll be locked in, you'll be focused, and you won't feel stressed anymore. You'll be focused more on producing results, ideas on a piece of paper. For me, on the day of the morning exam, I don't actually eat. This, I feel, increases my focus and concentration, because when you eat, your body requires energy to break down those food molecules, and so less energy is devoted towards your brain for focus and concentration. Now this is just a measure I personally take. I'm definitely not telling you to not eat before your exam, because you might have very negative side effects. On the way to the exam, I like to play chess. Well, for me it's like a warm-up for my brain, particularly useful for exams like maths. So when you're playing chess, you have to analyze different scenarios and avoid making silly mistakes. Similarly, in a maths exam, you have to make sure that every step is accurate, and you have to prevent making silly mistakes. For me, this was a game changer. Okay, so that was my exam ritual. But it's very important to understand that everybody's exam ritual is different. Remember, an exam ritual should give you a sense of clarity, structure, and calmness before an exam, as well as prepare you for the exam effectively. I've perfected my exam over the course of 2 years of important exams, but for you, it's important to try out new scenarios, and you can use my exam ritual as a basis for your own.